and is Master of Science in Pathology at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Finishing a 3-year immunology and scientific training at the same university in 1988, he proceeded to complete his postgraduate course in executive education on health program management at the Harvard University School of Public Health and Graduate School of Management in 1992. Mr. Chairman, my esteemed colleagues, please allow me to highlight some of the career achievements and accomplishments of Dr. Francisco T. Duque III, not only in public health, but also in other fields in government. Following his training in the USA, Dr. Duque returned to the Philippines and served in the University of Pangasinan. He then became medical director at the Doctors Pharmaceuticals from 1996 up to 1999. He became Undersecretary of the Department of Health in March 2001. 3 months later, he was appointed as President and Chief Executive Officer of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth, until 2005. As PhilHealth CEO, he advocated increasing the enrollment of indigent beneficiaries, insisting that health care for the poor must be part of the basic strategy for national development. This initiative continues to benefit millions of Filipinos, especially in the marginalized sectors of our society. Dr. Francisco Duque became the Secretary of Health from 2005 to 2010. His 5-year stewardship of the Department of Health earned high approval and satisfaction ratings. The efforts of the DOH, supported by the World Health Organization, to contain the threat of pandemic spread of the AH1N1 virus was commended by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or the ASEAN. Our country was recognized for being one of only 3 nations in Asia with excellent risk communication strategies against the AH1N1 virus. Dr. Duque became chairman of the Civil Service Commission in 2010. He led the CSC towards achieving the highest ever public awareness, availment, and satisfaction average rating of 98% among 5 national government frontline service agencies in surveys conducted from 2011 to 2014. Dr. Duque became chairman of the Government Service Insurance System on February 15, 2017, less than a year prior to his appointment as Secretary of Health. Mr. Chairman, let me also present some of the awards and recognition received by Dr. Duque. The Outstanding Thomasian Alumnus Leadership Total Award in the field of government service in 2004. The Albertus Magnus Science Award in 2007 by the UST College of Science for his achievements in medical science, public health, and stewardship of the National Health Insurance Program. In November 2007, he earned from the Mindanao State University a Doctor of Humanities degree. The Communication Excellence in Organizations Award, or the CEO Excel Award, by the International Association of Business Communicators, an independent organization composed of media and public relations experts, in October 2008. In 2006 and 2013, the Pangasinan State University conferred on him the degree of Doctor of Humanities and Doctor of Humanities honoris causa, respectively. Dr. Duque is not only passionate about public health, he is also an effective communicator, able to get his message across to the Filipino people. His management skills are validated by his accomplishments to date. At present, the country is confronted with a serious public health challenge caused by the Dengvaxia vaccine. But Dr. Duque has stayed on course and kept faith in guiding not only his department, but in informing the Filipino people of the measures that are being undertaken by government to address the situation. In October 2017, President Rodrigo Duterte appointed Dr. Duque as Secretary of the Department of Health. Again, he is showing his professionalism, dedication, and competence to lead the department. He is bent on regaining the confidence of our people in the Department of Health in the face of public concern surrounding Dengvaxia. Mr. Chairman, my distinguished colleagues, we are confident that with his integrity, sense of purpose, and exemplary stewardship in his previous and current positions, Dr. Duque is adequately equipped, mentally, physically, and we pray spiritually for our people's sake to head the department. Mr. Chairman, esteemed colleagues, keeping our people, especially our children, healthy are formidable tasks. We need somebody with the courage and vision to get things done, who can fight and win not only in our people's hearts and minds, but in every nerve, artery, muscle, and bone. With high hopes that faith, hope, and love for God, country, and family continue to provide the lift for his sturdy wings so that he can soar once more in public service. Again, I have the honor to recommend to the plenary the confirmation of Dr. Francisco T. Duque III as Secretary of the Department of Health. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Majority Leader.
Next to second the nomination of Secretary Duque will be Senator Manny Pacquiao.
To second, Senator Pacquiao is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that Secretary Duque here, with his extensive experience as DOH Secretary during President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo administration and as the distinguished appointee of President Duterte, he is custom fit for the post, Mr. President. Hence, I strongly support the confirmation of the appointment of Secretary Duque. With the current predicament the DOH is facing, the Ding Vaxia, to be very specific, DOH needs to address this very significant issue head-on. I believe it will help Secretary Duque do his job better with more teeth, if not fangs, to really address this health issue surrounding the Filipino children. I trust that Secretary Duque, Mr. President, is the right man for the job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
I call on Senator Subiri to again second the nomination.
Senator Subiri is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, my distinguished colleagues in both houses, ladies and gentlemen, pleasant good afternoon. We have with us today Dr. Francisco Duque III, who is a returning Secretary of the Department of Health. Many of us may know Dr. Duque because of his numerous key positions that he has held. As Chairman of the Government Service Insurance System, as Chairman of the Civil Service Commission, as President and Chief Executive Officer of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, and most notably, as former Secretary of the Department of Health. Allow me to backtrack a bit, Mr. President. When Dr. Duque was appointed as Chairman of the Civil Service Commission, he was responsible for the Commission's roadmap for development and reforms for 2010 to 2015. It was also during his chairmanship when the Commission adopted the performance governance system onwards to setting the agency's vision of becoming Asia's leading center for excellence for strategic human resources and organizational development by 2030. These were the reasons why the Commission was conferred the Governance Trailblazer seal. As chairman of the GSIS, Dr. Duque envisioned to reduce the processing period for retirement and life insurance, motor vehicle and service loans. And furthermore, he moved for the conduct of financial literacy programs for new government entrants and retiring members. And who can ever forget his tireless and dedicated work at the Department of Health, which has given him numerous accolades and most importantly, had won the people's trust for the department. Another aspect people don't know about the good secretary is that he is a vintage car enthusiast as one of his many hobbies. I personally know Dr. Duque to be an amiable, intelligent, and hardworking public servant. He is a well-educated and well-respected citizen in all sectors. He's remembered for his efforts geared towards raising the level of performance of the officers and employees who have worked under his stewardship, both past and present. Finally, he possesses exceptional work ethic, excellent managerial skills, and qualities that make him stand out as a government leader. with his impressive academic record, Mr. President, extensive experience in the health sector, and unquestionable dedication to serve the Filipino people, I believe Dr. Duque is the man we need to lead the main government agency in charge of providing quality, accessible public health services to our country. Mr. Chairman, with the foregoing reasons, I have the honor to second the motion for the confirmation of the Commission in plenary the ad interim appointment of Secretary Francisco Duque III for the Department of Health. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Next would be Senator J.B. Ercito.
Senator Ercito is recognized.
Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are very fortunate that President Duterte appointed Dr. Francisco Duque to be the highest healthcare professional in our country. He is the second Francisco Duque to be appointed as Secretary of Health, the second Secretary of Health to have 2 terms of office. This translates to his competency, remarkable performance, and constant admiration from his colleagues for his dynamic leadership and excellent work ethic. Reforms in the health sector instituted by the good Secretary in his first stint in the DOH resonates until today and continues to be beneficial to our people. It was marked by breakthroughs and milestones in public health care which earned high approval and satisfaction rating. And for the country, a World Health Organization citation for being one of only 3 nations with excellent risk communication strategies against H1N1. The past service of Secretary Duque has been exceptional. Francisco Duque III came back to the DOH in an uncomfortable and not so pleasant period in time. He arrived in the time of Dingvaxia, but rather be infected by paranoia, panic, and hysteria. He has shown wisdom and grace under pressure, a true mark of a great leader. Mr. Chair, Mr. President, Secretary Duque's integrity and credibility is beyond question. I cannot think of any other person to be at the helm of the department at this very challenging time. I believe that Secretary Duque can withstand all controversies and criticisms that the DOH might stumble into. I am certain that his extensive portfolio mirrors a dedicated public servant and a recognized leader who has served the health needs of the Filipino nation for over a decade. His vast experience in the medical field, public service, and healthcare will bring DOH to greater heights. Mr. Chair, as Chairman of the Committee on Health in the Senate, I would like to manifest my full support for the appointment and second appointment of Francisco Duque III as the Secretary of the Department of Health. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Senate President, I have with me the speech of Senator Recto, which he would like me to read for the record.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, the nominee was my seatmate in the Arroyo cabinet, which was when I saw how good a doctor he is. When I dug into a bag of chicharon, he never lectured me about cholesterol. When wine was served, he saw to it that my glass was always full. And whenever I did my patriotic duty of paying excise taxes, 1 cigarette puff at a time, he did not break into a sermon about nicotine. The nominee is first and foremost a physician. But when country calls, he does not shrink from being conscripted to the hard labor in government, as had happened to him 7 times in the past. And as you have read in his impressive CV, not one of his government postings in the past 20 years was cushy. All had national mandates which require a combination of competence and compassion which only those with a head and a heart like him can do. As Health Secretary, he was in charge of the health of the people. As PhilHealth President, he was the health insurer of us all. As GSIS Chairman, he was a steward of billions of pesos in pension assets of millions of public sector workers, including this building, which means that he was for a time the Senate's landlord. As Civil Service Commission head, he did not only make sure that civil servants gave the best service to the people, but that civil servants also got the best treatment from their government. Although these officers had different missions, he had only one motto to guide him, though all of them not lengthy mantras nor clever maxims, but three simple words he embraced that he made treating the sick his life's mission. Do no harm. And he did no harm. Indeed. His integrity remains as lily-white as the doctor's coat he wore in the charity wards of the UST hospital, in the operating rooms of Pangasinan medical centers, in the laboratories of Georgetown University. Do no harm could also be the words in his family's coat of arms, if there was one. He comes from a distinguished family of doctor servants. His father was the health secretary during the time of President Diosdado Macapagal. And his mother of the patriotic Tiongson clan of Bulacan was also a physician whose other mission was to build world-class schools in Northern Luzon. So it can be said, Mr. President, that the nominee has a two-person oversight committee looking down from up above to see that he indeed will do no harm. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, this is the nominee's second time to be at the helm of the DOH. In short, he has been there and done that, unlike many appointees we see today who report to work on training wheels and whose motto is do most harm. Because of his experience, his training, and his integrity, I can say with all certainty that he has been inoculated against any scams that will harm or hurt the DOH and the public it serves. He can smell a scam miles away with the same ease that he can diagnose a disease without the need for a stethoscope. Those who doubt this should read what he had done in the DOH and in other offices to assuage their fears. Excuse me. He pursued aggressive MDG goals. He implemented an ethical milk code. He modernized hospitals. He purged field health of many of his conservative stands, among other game-changing initiatives. I was wondering what this milk code was. Or breastfeed is best for babies or better for daddies, Mr. As a doctor, he knows what a pill is from a placebo and can distinguish Band-Aid solution from holistic care. He diagnoses diseases and problems the way he tunes up his vintage cars by getting his hands dirty and going under the hood. This is the hands-on manager we need at DOH today. One who can solve today's ills while preventing future problems. One who treats the causes and not the symptoms. One who is both curative and preventive in outlook. It is thus my honor and privilege to endorse the confirmation of the appointment of Francisco Pincoy Chongson Duque III as Health Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President.
Anybody else? No.
No more.
Majority Leader. Congressman Almario is raising his hand.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Congressman Almario is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. Chairman, my fellow members of the Commission, guests, good afternoon. The return of Dr. Duque as Health Secretary speaks for itself. having been appointed as DOH Secretary in 2005 and being called on again to serve in the same capacity now, shows that he is highly qualified and effective as a health secretary. The Commission on Appointments then recognized his qualifications, and the Commission on Appointments now continues to do so. Mr. Chairman, let me segue a little. The Dengvaxia issue has been discussed lengthily and continues to be discussed in all levels, at the House, at the Senate, at the LGU levels, in the barangays, internationally. But what is worse than the Dengvaxia issue, Mr. Chairman, is the daily problem experienced by those who seek medical attention from some, not all, LGU-operated hospitals. Have you ever heard of patients not being treated because they have yet to buy their own dextrose? Have you heard of ambulances not running until their patients produce fuel and allowance for the driver? Have you heard of in-house pharmacies not having on stock basic medicines? Mr. Chairman, the doctors, the nurses, the rad techs, and the other hospital staff are very competent, but what can they do if the hospital itself lacks basic medicines and equipment? As an example I cited earlier, and I would like to reiterate that, in the district of Congressman Salimbangon, the Bantayan District Hospital, owned and operated by the provincial government of Cebu City, of Cebu Province, in a district, in an area close to 200,000 people lacks basic medicines such that their patients have to be brought to the nearest DOH hospital 8 hours away. Mr. Chairman, I find solace in Secretary Duque's commitment to look into this problem, and I will hold him responsible for that. I am confident that Secretary Duque will surpass what he has accomplished before with even better programs and more advances in healthcare from here on. And as he said in the hearing earlier, Mr. Chairman, and I find that very inspiring, and I quote him, "If you truly love your country, serve in the government." It is thus with honor and privilege that I second the motion for the confirmation of the ad interim appointment of Dr. Francisco T. Duque III as Secretary of the Department of Health. Thank you.
Okay, there being no other seconding nomination speech, the motion before us, my dear colleagues, which has been duly seconded, is for the Commission to confirm the ad interim appointment of Dr. Francisco T. Duque III as Secretary, Department of Health. Is there any objection? Okay, there being none, the motion is approved. Congratulations, sir.
Senate President, there being no other topic to discuss, I move that we adjourn.
Is there any objection? There being none, session is hereby adjourned.
All right, a confirmation there. We have Health Secretary now, Dr. Francisco Duque III. By the powerful Commission on Appointments, he hurdled 2 hearings of the CA, the second being this morning. And finally, he was brought to the plenary and confirmed the number of the senators who spoke today: Senators Hunasan, Senator Ejercito, Senator Zubiri Pacquiao, and Congressman Rod Albanos read a statement coming from Senator Legarda and, of course, also Congressman Almario. This is something the Secretary is used to. He was already the Department of Health Secretary back in 2005 to 2010 under the administration of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Again, Health Secretary Francisco Duque already passing the Commission on Appointments. Well, again, that's the picture taking, of course, of members of the Commission on Appointments, members coming from both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Some of the statements made by the senators is that they are hoping, I think it was Senator Manny Pacquiao who said that they're hoping that he is equipped mentally, Secretary Duque at that, physically, and they are praying also spiritually, calling Duque the right man for the job. And thank you for joining us. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.